Admiral Emma Mitchell stood at the grand entrance of the Cosmic Council's crystalline chamber, her heart thundering against her dress whites. 25 years of military service hadn't prepared her for this moment. The massive doors, crafted from what appeared to be a single piece of translucent alien metal, parted silently before her. As she stepped forward, the material beneath her polished boots seemed to sing, responding to her presence with subtle harmonics that echoed through her bones. "Steady," she whispered to herself, touching the small earth flag pinned to her collar. Behind her, the rest of the human delegation followed. Scientists, diplomats, and military officers, each chosen to represent humanity's finest. Dr. Marcus Rivera, Earth's leading xenobiologist, quietly whistled at the sight before them. Even after 3 months of preparation on the station, the council chamber's majesty still took their breath away. The chamber itself defied Earth architecture. Crystalline spires stretched upward for what seemed like miles, their surfaces refracting starlight into rainbow cascades. Representatives from over 1,000 worlds occupied floating platforms that spiraled around a central podium. Some species she recognized from the briefings: the serpentine Arxen, the silicon-based Medrins, the enigmatic energy beings called the Volt. Others were so alien that her mind struggled to process their forms. "Welcome, children of Earth," the Council Archon's voice resonated through the chamber. The ancient being, a towering figure of shifting iridescent patterns, raised all 4 of their upper limbs in what the briefings had described as a gesture of supreme welcome. "You stand here at the culmination of 10,000 years of observation. Today, humanity joins the galactic community." Emma approached the central podium, the weight of 7 billion hopes and dreams on her shoulders. The treaty lay before her, a shimmering holographic document that would grant humanity access to the stars. Trade routes, technological exchanges, cultural partnerships, everything Earth had dreamed of since first looking up at the night sky. "Before we proceed," the Archon continued, their patterns shifting to deeper hues, "do you accept the Council's authority in all matters of interstellar law and commerce?" "On behalf of Earth, I do." Emma's voice carried clearly through the chamber, steady despite her racing pulse. "And do you accept our guidance in humanity's development among the stars?" "We do." Another practiced response. Then, Admiral Mitchell, the Archon's pattern suddenly flared blood red. "You doom your species through your trust." The change was instant. Energy fields snapped into existence around the human delegation. Emma's hand flew to her sidearm, but it had already been transformed into inert metal. Through the chamber's massive viewport, she watched in horror as massive warships emerged from hyperspace, their weapons trained on Earth. "What is the meaning of this?" Emma's voice cracked with rage as she slammed her fist against the energy barrier. "We came in peace." "Peace." The Archon's laugh sent chills down her spine. "We've watched your species for millennia. Your adaptability, your drive, your relentless innovation. They make you too dangerous to roam freely among the stars. Did you think we wouldn't notice how quickly you advanced? How eagerly you absorbed and improved upon every scrap of technology you discovered?" Dr. Rivera stepped forward, his face pale but determined. "We've done nothing to threaten the Council." "Your very existence is a threat," another council member, a crystalline being, chimed in. "In mere centuries, you've progressed from primitive combustion engines to rudimentary faster-than-light travel. Given access to council technology, you would overshadow species that have developed for millions of years." Emma's mind raced, calculating options, looking for weaknesses. The station's security forces were closing in, their weapons trained on the human delegation. Through the viewport, she could see more council ships appearing around Earth. "You're making a mistake," she warned, her voice low and dangerous. "Humanity won't submit to imprisonment or control." The Archon's pattern swirled with amusement. "Submit? Oh no, Admiral Mitchell, you misunderstand. This isn't an attempt at subjugation. This is containment. Earth will be quarantined, stripped of its advanced technology, and monitored to ensure it never threatens galactic stability again. As guards began moving the delegation toward the detention area, Emma caught a glimpse of her homeworld through the viewport. She allowed herself a grim smile. The Council, for all its age and wisdom, had just made the biggest mistake in its history. They thought they were caging a primitive species. They were about to learn just how wrong they were. The Council expected panic. They expected riots in the streets, governments collapsing, and humanity begging for mercy. Instead, in the first 24 hours after the betrayal, Earth fell into an eerie calm. General Marcus Fletcher stood in the Pentagon's Crisis Command Center, watching as representatives from every major nation filed into the secure video conference. The massive display showed familiar faces: China's Admiral Chen, Russia's General Petrov, India's Air Marshal Singh, all wearing the same expression of cold fury. "Ladies and gentlemen," Fletcher began, his weathered face illuminated by the screen's blue glow, "I believe it's time to initiate Project Nemesis. No objections, no debates, just curt nods from the world's military leaders. The Council's blockade consists of 37 capital ships," Admiral Chen reported, her image flickering slightly. "Their technology appears to be approximately 3 centuries ahead of our public capabilities." She emphasized the word public with a slight smile. Fletcher pressed his palm against a biometric scanner, and deep beneath the Pacific Ocean, something stirred. For the past 15 years, since we detected the first Council observation posts in our solar system, we've been preparing. Every leaked piece of alien tech, every mysterious crash site, every covered observation of their ships. We've been learning, adapting, improving. The main screen shifted to show a massive underwater facility. Within its reinforced chambers lay Earth's secret fleet, vessels that combined human ingenuity with reverse-engineered alien technology. Ships that had been built and tested in absolute secrecy, hidden from the Council's watchful eyes by a combination of advanced cloaking tech and the ocean's natural properties. "The EN's Retribution leads the fleet," Fletcher continued, highlighting a massive vessel that looked nothing like traditional human ships. Its hull seemed to absorb light, covered in geometric patterns that confused the eye. 19 other heavy combat vessels, 30 support ships, and over 200 autonomous combat units, all crewed, armed, and ready for immediate deployment. "How did you hide this from them?" General Petrov demanded, leaning closer to his camera. "Because we did what humans do best. We improvised. The Council's scanning technology looks for specific energy signatures, specific materials. We developed new ones. They track artificial gravity fields. We use innovative inertial dampeners. They monitor quantum communications. We created an entirely new subspace protocol." Air Marshal Singh's voice cut through the discussion. "The Council's ultimatum gives us 48 hours to surrender. They're demanding complete disarmament and acceptance of their protective oversight." Fletcher's laugh was devoid of humor. "Then let's give them our answer." He turned to another screen, where Commander Jack Mitchell, Admiral Emma Mitchell's brother, waited aboard the Retribution. "Commander, is the fleet ready?" "All ships report combat ready, sir. Crews are eager to demonstrate humanity's hospitality." "Very well." Fletcher surveyed the faces of Earth's military leadership one final time. "The Council thinks they know humanity. They've watched us, studied us, judged us, but they've never fought us. They see our adaptability as a threat. Let's show them why." Screens across the command center lit up as Project Nemesis initiated. Deep in the Pacific, massive underwater doors slowly opened. The Retribution's engines powered up, its revolutionary drive system causing barely a ripple in the ocean above. Similar reports came in from hidden bases across the globe. The Atlantic Fleet, the Indian Ocean contingent, all moving into position. "Send one message to the Council blockade," Fletcher ordered, his voice hard as steel. "Humanity rejects your terms. You claim to fear our potential. You should have feared our preparation." As the orders went out, Fletcher recalled a quote from ancient history. "Let them come and take them. Humanity had been preparing for this moment, not just with weapons and ships, but with a unity their would-be conquerors never expected. There were no political squabbles, no territorial disputes, just 7 billion humans united against an external threat. The Council was about to learn why every human story about aliens had been about resistance, about fighting back, about never surrendering. They thought they were containing a primitive species. They were about to face humanity's vengeance fleet. From her cell aboard the Council station, Admiral Emma Mitchell watched the massive display screens with growing satisfaction. The Council chamber had erupted into chaos as reports flooded in from their blockade fleet. Her guards, normally stoic, shifted nervously as each new transmission painted a clearer picture of humanity's response. Impossible. The Archon's patterns swirled with agitation. Their vessels are. They're just appearing from nowhere. Emma allowed herself a small smile. You really should have scanned our oceans better. The main display showed the Council blockade facing something they'd never encountered. Human warships that seemed to phase in and out of reality. The ENS Retribution led the charge, its massive form rippling with technology that shouldn't exist at humanity's level. Quantum-phased shields deflected enemy fire while its hull, covered in adaptive metamaterials, made targeting systems struggle to maintain lock. Commander Jack Mitchell stood on the Retribution's bridge, his voice carrying across all frequencies as he broadcast to both Earth's fleet and the Council forces. This is Commander Mitchell of the Earth Vengeance Fleet. You took my sister. You threatened our world. Now learn why humanity writes stories about fighting against impossible odds. The battle unfolded like nothing the Council had ever witnessed. Human ships didn't fight like primitive vessels. They moved in complex, ever-changing patterns. The Council's tactical AI systems, designed to predict and counter known combat doctrines, failed completely against humanity's hybrid warfare. Sierra Squadron. Execute Maneuver Theta. Jack's orders cut through the chaos. 3 smaller human vessels suddenly split apart, each section becoming an autonomous combat unit. Council ships, designed to target large capital ships, found themselves swarmed by dozens of smaller, heavily armed platforms that their targeting systems couldn't track effectively. What manner of technology is this? A Council member demanded, turning to Emma. These combat patterns aren't in any of our records. Emma watched as the Retribution executed a maneuver that should have torn any ship apart. You watched us for centuries, but you never understood us. Humans don't just copy technology. We transform it. Everything you're seeing. It's your own tech, reimagined by human innovation. The battle's turning point came when the Retribution demonstrated humanity's greatest achievement. As 3 Council dreadnoughts concentrated their fire on the human flagship, its hull didn't just absorb the energy, it redirected it. Beams of concentrated power lanced back at the attacking vessels, using their own weapons against them. All ships, initiate Ghost Protocol, Jack commanded. The entire human fleet seemed to flicker, their quantum drive systems bending space-time in ways the Council had deemed impossible. Ships appeared to be in multiple places simultaneously, fire coming from phantom vessels that disappeared moments later. In her cell, Emma felt a surge of pride as she watched the Council's blockade crumble. These weren't just warships. They were humanity's answer to centuries of being watched, judged, and underestimated. Each vessel represented thousands of hours of human ingenuity, combining stolen pieces of alien technology with innovations born of humanity's unique perspective. Command ship disabled, reported one of the Council officers, their voice trembling. 3 capital ships destroyed. 5 more heavily damaged. The humans, they're not killing unnecessarily. They're disabling our vessels with surgical precision. The Archon turned to Emma, their patterns now showing something new. Fear. You planned this. All of it. No, Emma corrected them. We prepared for it. There's a difference. Humanity has spent its entire history preparing for moments like this. Every story, every movie, every book about alien contact We imagined this scenario thousands of times, and while you watched us, judging us primitive, we were learning, adapting, getting ready. As the last council ships retreated or surrendered, the Retribution took up position near the station. Jack's voice came through once more. To the Cosmic Council, you have 1 hour to release all human prisoners and prepare for negotiations. We can do this the easy way, or we can demonstrate more of humanity's innovations. Emma stood in her cell, straight and proud. The Council had feared humanity's potential for violence, but they were about to learn something far more important. When humans fight back, they do so not just with weapons, but with ingenuity that transforms the very rules of engagement. The Ghost Fleet had risen, and the galaxy would never be the same. The Council's war room had gone silent. On their strategic display, humanity's weapons weren't just defeating their forces, they were rewriting the rules of combat. Admiral Rachel Hayes of the Council Defense Force watched in disbelief as another of their invincible dreadnoughts went dark, its systems completely overridden by technology that shouldn't exist. "Show me the Retribution's weapon systems again," she demanded, her tentacles writhing in agitation. The holographic display zoomed in on the human flagship as it engaged 3 Council vessels simultaneously. The first shot came from what the humans called a Neptune spear, a torpedo that didn't just ignore shields, it bent space-time around its target. The Council ship found itself fighting in what appeared to be slow motion, its crew experiencing time differently than the space around them. Before they could adapt, swarms of what looked like mechanical insects poured through the temporal distortion, disabling systems with terrifying precision. "They'd weaponized time itself," one of the analysts whispered. "The energy readings, they're using our own temporal mechanics against us." But it was the second human innovation that truly horrified the Council leadership. The ENS Shadow Dancer, a smaller vessel in Earth's fleet, demonstrated why humans had named their ships after concepts of vengeance. Itoll wasn't just cloaked. It existed in a quantum superposition, appearing to be in multiple locations simultaneously. When Council ships fired at one location, their weapons passed through empty space, while the real vessel struck from an impossible angle. "Sir," a young officer burst into the war room. "We've decoded part of their targeting systems. They're not using traditional computers. Each ship has what they call a neural combat matrix. It's an AI that learns and adapts during battle, faster than any system we've ever encountered." Admiral Hayes watched as the Retribution demonstrated this adaptation in real time. The human vessel took a direct hit from a Council weapon, but instead of damage, its hull actually absorbed the energy. Moments later, it fired back using a modified version of the same weapon, enhanced by human innovation. They don't just copy technology, Hayes realized, her voice hollow. They understand it, improve it, combine it in ways we never imagined. Every weapon we use against them becomes their new advantage. The display shifted to show another human vessel, the ENS Prometheus, as it deployed what the humans had dubbed Edison's Cage. The weapon created a localized field that turned the Council ship's own energy against them. Their shields, designed to deflect external attacks, found themselves containing rapidly expanding spheres of their own power. "Admiral," one of the tactical officers reported, "the humans are broadcasting their weapon specifications on open channels." "They're what?" Hayes spun around in shock. "Message from Commander Mitchell. Consider this a demonstration. Every weapon we use today was developed in secret, under your surveillance. Imagine what we'll create now that we don't have to hide." The implications hit Hayes like a physical blow. These weapons, these innovations that were destroying the Council's finest ships, were just humanity's opening move. They'd developed all of this while pretending to be a primitive species, working with stolen scraps of technology under constant observation. On the main display, the Retribution unveiled its final weapon. The humans called it the Lazarus Protocol. Nanite swarms that could repair battle damage in real time, actually making the ship stronger with each hit it took. Council weapons designed to cause catastrophic hull failures found themselves literally feeding the human vessels, their energy converted into reinforcement for the very ships they were trying to destroy. "All ships, full retreat," Hayes ordered, her voice cracking. We can't match this level of innovation." As the Council forces pulled back, Commander Mitchell's voice echoed through their communications. "Let this be a lesson. You feared our potential so much that you tried to cage us. But humanity doesn't belong in a cage. We belong among the stars, not because we're powerful, but because we never stop learning, never stop improving, never stop pushing the boundaries of what's possible." The Council war room erupted into frantic activity as reports came in from across the galaxy. The humans weren't just winning battles, they were revolutionizing warfare itself. And this, Hayes realized with a chill, was just the beginning. Humanity had been unleashed upon the stars, and they were bringing centuries of pent-up innovation with them. Shadowed in Sir Actual, commencing Operation Wildfire. Commander Lisa Hayes whispered into her neural link. Her stealth vessel hung invisible in the void, less than a kilometer from one of the Council's primary communication hubs. 3 other ships of her wolf pack, Eclipse, Phantasm, and Spectre, maintained perfect formation, their quantum-locked positions making them virtually undetectable. The Council never expected an attack here, deep in their territory. Their arrogance was about to cost them dearly. "Execute Phase 1, Hayes ordered. Across all 4 ships, specially trained crews activated what humanity had dubbed viral tech, self-replicating nanites that could infect and reprogram alien systems. The microscopic machines poured forth in an invisible stream, riding the Council's own communication beams directly into their network. On her tactical display, Hayes watched the infection spread. Red nodes turned green as system after system fell under human control. The Council's mighty communication hub, responsible for coordinating their fleets across 3 sectors, never even triggered an alarm. "Ma'am," her XO reported, "we're reading success on all primary targets. Moving to Phase 2. Phase 2 was where things got interesting. Instead of simply shutting down the Council's communications, the humans had something far more devious in mind. Every transmission would still go through, but now they'd carry hidden packets of data. Subtle changes to coordinates, microscopic delays in response times, and ever so slight alterations to sensor readings. Phantasm reports their package is delivered," the tactical officer announced. "Council supply routes in Sector 7 are now compromised. Their ships will be jumping into empty space, missing their resupply points by thousands of kilometers." Hayes allowed herself a grim smile. This was humanity's true weapon, not just technology, but the art of asymmetrical warfare. While the Council's main forces engaged the Vengeance fleet in direct combat, her wolf pack was systematically dismantling their ability to wage war. "Approaching Pattern Sierra," her navigator reported. "Council patrol passing within detection range in 3 minutes. Hold position," Hayes commanded. "Let them come." The patrol, 3 Council corvettes, passed directly through their formation, their sensors seeing nothing but empty space. The Council ships were hunting for traditional stealth technology, while humanity had moved beyond mere cloaking. The Shadowdancer and her sisters existed in a quantum state, their presence masked by what scientists called probability manipulation. "Signal from command," her comm officer announced. "The Retribution has engaged the Council's 3rd Fleet. They're completely divided by our nav hack." Everything was proceeding according to plan. The Council's mighty armada found itself scattered across dozens of light years, their carefully coordinated movements thrown into chaos by corrupted navigation data. Ships jumped to wrong coordinates, supply lines dissolved, and reinforcements arrived at empty coordinates. "Phase 3, Hayes ordered, her voice steady. "Release the ghosts." This was humanity's masterstroke. From each stealth ship, dozens of autonomous drones emerge. But these weren't ordinary combat units. They were quantum duplicates, existing simultaneously in multiple states of reality. The Council's sensors would detect phantom fleets appearing and disappearing across their territory, forcing them to respond to threats that existed everywhere and nowhere. Ma'am, her Exo's voice carried a note of awe. The Council's entire command and control structure is beginning to collapse. Their ships can't tell real threats from our phantoms. Hayes watched as the Council's mighty military machine began to eat itself alive. Fleets fired on friendly vessels, believing them to be human ships. Supply lines tangled as coordinates shifted randomly. Communication networks dissolved into chaos as no one could trust the authenticity of any transmission. All ships, prepare for Phase 4, Hayes commanded. Let's show them why they called us the Wolf Pack. The 4 stealth vessels began their final approach on the hub's primary power core. They would strike simultaneously from 4 different quantum states, their weapons synchronized to bypass the Council's most advanced defenses. In the main war room of the Council station, alarms blared as sector after sector went dark. The mighty Cosmic Council, which had ruled the galaxy for millennia, was being dismantled not by brute force, but by human cunning. Operation Wildfire wasn't just succeeding, it was proving why humanity had always been right to imagine themselves standing against impossible odds. Because when humans fought back, they didn't just fight with weapons. They fought with imagination. The Orcs ambassador's scales shimmered with barely contained excitement as she slithered into the secure conference room aboard the EN's Retribution. Before her, Commander Jack Mitchell stood alongside representatives from 3 other species who had broken from the Council: the crystalline Medurans, the energy-based Volt, and the silicon-formed Quartz. The Council's grip is failing, the Orcs ambassador announced, her translator converting her hissing speech to crisp English. Their military strength relied on absolute technological superiority. You humans have shattered that illusion. Jack nodded, studying the holographic display showing the galaxy's rapidly shifting political landscape. How many species have declared independence in the last 48 hours? 17, the Volt representative pulsed with blue light, and more are preparing to break away. The Council's response to Earth has exposed what many of us have long suspected. They fear innovation. They fear change. The tactical display updated in real time, showing the collapse of the Council's carefully maintained order. Sectors that had been under their control for millennia were declaring autonomy. Trade routes were being redrawn. Ancient alliances were shattering. We've received intelligence about your sister. The Meduran crystalline form chimed melodiously. Admiral Mitchell isn't just imprisoned, she's being interrogated. The Council is desperate to understand how humanity advanced so quickly, how you developed technologies that should have taken centuries to master. Jack's jaw tightened. They still don't understand. We didn't just develop technology, we reimagined it. Every piece of alien tech that crashed on Earth, every scrap of data we intercepted, every observation we made of their ships, we didn't just copy it. We asked questions they never thought to ask. The Quartz representative, their silicon form shifting like flowing glass, moved closer to the display. That's why we're here. The Council ruled through restriction, controlling who could develop what, maintaining their position by keeping younger species dependent. But humanity, you've shown us another way. The Council's greatest mistake, the Orcs ambassador added, was believing that watching Earth meant they understood humans. They saw your wars, your conflicts, and thought you were primitive. They never realized those same conflicts drove your innovation, forced you to think differently, to solve problems in new ways. The room's atmosphere changed as urgent data flowed across the tactical display. Council forces were mobilizing, but their once unified military was now fragmented. Some commanders followed the hardliners' orders to crush the rebellion. Others turned their weapons on former allies, protecting newly independent worlds. We're receiving a transmission, Jack's communications officer reported. It's from the Council's own military command. Admiral Hayes is requesting a direct channel. The Council's top military commander, asking to communicate with humans. Jack exchanged glances with the assembled allies. Put her through. Admiral Hayes's alien features appeared on the main screen, her tentacles writhing with what humans had learned to recognize as anxiety. Commander Mitchell, we need to talk. The hardliners are losing control. They're threatening to use weapons that have been banned for millennia. Weapons that could tear the galaxy apart. And now you want our help. Jack's voice carried an edge of steel. We want to survive, Hayes replied. Your sister, Admiral Mitchell, has shown us something during her captivity. Something the hardliners fear more than your weapons. She's shown us that humanity doesn't seek to dominate, despite your power. You seek to innovate, to explore, to grow. And you're willing to help others do the same. The alien representatives stirred, their various forms expressing agreement in different ways. The Arxen's scales rippled, the Volt pulsed brighter. The Medoran chimed softly. We're offering a deal, Hayes continued. Help us prevent the hardliners from destroying everything, and we'll help you free your sister. More than that, we'll support the formation of a new council, one where innovation isn't feared, where younger species have a voice. Jack looked at the assembled aliens, seeing in their varied forms the same thing. Hope. Humanity hadn't just fought the council. They'd shown the galaxy a new path forward. Send us the coordinates, he replied. It's time to end this war and start building something new. The Great Divide wasn't just breaking the Council's power. It was reshaping the galaxy's future, and humanity would help lead the way. Stormbreak Protocol is go. Commander Jack Mitchell's voice resonated through the Joint Fleet's command channel. The EN's retribution hung in the void before the massive Council station, now surrounded by ships from 17 different species. Former enemies turned allies, united by humanity's example. Inside her cell, Admiral Emma Mitchell felt the subtle vibration of the station's shields activating. After weeks of captivity, she'd learned to read these signs. But today was different. Today, she wasn't just observing. She was part of the plan. You truly believe you can take this station? The Archon's voice carried artificial confidence as they faced her in the detention block. Our defenses have held for 10,000 years. Emma's smile was razor-sharp. You still don't understand. We're not here to take your station. We're here to show you why humanity writes stories about prison breaks. The attack began not with weapons, but with silence. Throughout the station, quantum-encrypted systems suddenly went dark. Emergency lights flickered as power distributions shifted in seemingly random patterns. The Council's mighty defensive grid began reporting thousands of phantom targets. Multiple breaches detected. A Council officer's panicked voice echoed through the station's comm system. But our sensors, they're reading human ships inside the station's structure. That's impossible. But impossible was humanity's specialty. While the Council focused on the fleet before them, Operation Ghostwalker was already inside their walls. Microscopic quantum-phase drones, released months ago during the first diplomatic visits, had been quietly mapping the station's every system, every weakness, every potential point of failure. Admiral Hayes sent her regards, Emma announced calmly as her cell's energy field suddenly inverted, trapping her guards instead of her. She retrieved her neural link from where she'd hidden it, in plain sight, disguised as a simple rank insignia. You should have searched me more carefully. Outside, the battle unfolded like a symphony of chaos. The Retribution led the Allied fleet in what appeared to be a conventional assault, their weapons blazing against the station's shields. But this was merely the orchestration of attention. The real attack came from within. Releasing quantum lockdowns, Jack's voice came through Emma's neural link. Phase 2 initiated. Throughout the station, security systems turned against their masters. Doors sealed randomly, trapping Council forces in corridors. Gravity plating reversed without warning. Environmental systems created localized zones of non-Euclidean space where Council reinforcements found themselves walking in endless loops. This is impossible. The Archon raged as Emma strode past their now contained form. Our technology, our systems, are impressive. Emma finished for them. But you forgot something crucial about humans. We don't just use technology. We improvise with it. Everything you're seeing. We planned it during diplomatic dinners, coded it during cultural exchanges, built it in plain sight while you thought we were just learning to be civilized. The station's command center was in chaos when Emma arrived. Council officers watched in horror as their mighty fortress was undone, not by brute force, but by human ingenuity. The quantum phase drones had become a ghost network, turning the station's own systems into weapons against it. By the way, Emma added as she sat at the main control interface, her neural link connecting seamlessly with systems that should have rejected her. Thank you for all the detailed technical briefings during my captivity. They were educational. Outside, the Retribution executed a maneuver that should have been impossible, its quantum drives allowing it to exist simultaneously at multiple points around the station. Each phantom image was real enough to fire, creating a sphere of overlapping fields that contained any attempt at escape. Station secure. Jack's voice carried satisfaction. Welcome back, sis. Emma looked at the gathered council leaders, their various forms showing different signs of defeat and disbelief. Now about those negotiations for a new galactic order. The fall of the council station marked more than just a military victory. It was proof that humanity's greatest weapon wasn't their technology or their ships. It was their ability to think differently, to see possibilities where others saw only walls, to turn imprisonment into opportunity. The galaxy would never be the same. And that was exactly what humanity had been planning all along. 3 months after the fall of the Council Station, the newly formed Galactic Concordat held its first official assembly. The station, once a symbol of oppression, had been transformed. Where rigid hierarchy once ruled, representatives from all species now gathered in equal standing. Admiral Emma Mitchell stood at the same podium where she had once been betrayed. But this time, the chamber held a different energy. The crystalline spires no longer felt imposing. They sparkled with possibility. Beside her, Commander Jack Mitchell and the crews of the Vengeance Fleet stood proud in their dress uniforms, their presence a reminder of how much had changed. The cost of fear, Emma began, her voice carrying to every corner of the chamber, is innovation lost. The old council feared change so much that they tried to cage it. Instead, they sparked a revolution that none of us could have predicted. The assembled representatives, nearly 200 species now, watched as holographic displays showed the changes sweeping through known space. New trade routes were forming, species were sharing technology openly, and joint research projects were yielding breakthroughs that would have been impossible under the old regime. Humanity's greatest contribution wasn't our weapons or our tactics, Emma continued. It was our perspective. Every species here has something unique to offer. The Arxen's biological mastery, the Volt's energy manipulation, the Meduren's crystalline computing. Imagine what we can achieve when we combine these gifts instead of restricting them. The Eon's retribution, visible through the chamber's massive viewport, had become more than just a warship. It was now a mobile academy, its halls filled with scientists and engineers from dozens of species, all learning from each other. The quantum drives that had once terrified the Council were being adapted for peaceful exploration, pushing the boundaries of known space. The human concept of standing together against oppression has proven remarkably infectious. The Arxen ambassador observed, her scales shimmering with amusement. Our younger members particularly appreciate your species' entertainment media. They've started writing their own humanity stories. Jack couldn't help but laugh. Just wait until they discover our science fiction archives. We've been imagining this moment for centuries. But it wasn't all celebration. The transition had its challenges. Former Council hardliners had fled to the outer regions, taking dangerous weapons with them. The Vengeance Fleet, now expanded with ships from multiple species, stood ready to defend the new order. Yet even this threat served a purpose. It gave the allied species a common cause, a reason to work together. We've received the first reports from the Joint Innovation Centers, Admiral Hayes announced, her tentacles moving in what humans now recognized as excitement. The combination of human adaptability with Meduran quantum theory has already yielded improvements to FTL travel. The Volt human energy projects are revolutionizing power generation across 3 sectors. Emma nodded, feeling the weight of the moment. The Council feared human potential because they saw only the threat of change. They never understood that true strength comes not from controlling progress, but from embracing it, from learning from each other, from growing together. The chamber erupted in agreement, each species expressing it differently. Light pulses, crystalline chimes, subsonic rumbles, and dozens of other forms of communication blending into a symphony of unity. The galaxy enters a new age, Emma declared. Not one ruled by fear and restriction, but one guided by innovation and cooperation. Earth stands ready to share everything we've learned, and more importantly, to learn from all of you. The stories we'll write together will be greater than any single species could imagine alone. As the Assembly moved to ratify the Concordet's founding charter, Jack turned to his sister. You know, the Council was right about one thing. Humanity is dangerous. We're dangerous because we dream. We imagine. We push boundaries. Emma smiled, watching as representatives from former enemy species mingled freely, sharing ideas and hopes for the future. They feared what humanity might become. Instead, we showed them what everyone could become together. The dawn of the human era had arrived. But it wasn't just humanity's dawn. It was a new beginning for all species who dared to dream of something greater than the sum of their parts. The stars had never seemed brighter.